What up, sports fans? Waxon Wednesday. This is Jake Waxman and Tom Levelette. Two guys talk sports. Let's do this. All right. So the Purdue Boilermakers, they're having another very good season of basketball. They're at 18 wins right now with 2 losses on the season. They've been playing some of their best basketball since the loss at Nebraska a week or so ago. So right now, you could say, oh, this just looks like your typical Purdue team right now doing what they're supposed to do in the Big Ten. However, I will say this. If Purdue is going to make a run in March, or if they make that run in March, it's not a matter of when, it's a matter of if this season, if they're going to make that run in March. If they're going to make that run in March, there's one guy on this team that will be critical to that. One guy. And it's not Zach Edey I'm talking about. He'll be critical too. He's always critical to Purdue's success, but it's not Zach Edey that we're looking at. Because in the NCAA tournament or March Madness, it takes good guard play, speed, and athleticism to make it far in the NCAA tournament. If Purdue is going to make a deep run this year, the one guy to watch out for on this Purdue team is Lance Jones, their transfer from Southern Illinois University. This is his first year with Purdue. He's a grad transfer, so he'll only be here at Purdue for one season. But I honestly, watching this Purdue team play, there's a difference in their style, and a lot of it has to do with Lance Jones. I mean, watching Lance Jones play, he's fast, he's athletic, he can draw, he speeds down the court, like full afterburner. And if you turn over the ball or give him the ball in the form of turning it over to him, he'll make you pay for it. He speeds down the court and goes and drives and gets a layup. You know, that's one of the things he does so well. He's fast, brings a lot of energy to a Purdue team that needs it. And what the big reason Purdue was a one and done last year, the big reason we lost to FDU in the tournament last year, becoming the second number 1 seed to lose to a 16 seed. I haven't forgotten about it. Sports fans, I have not. But the big reason that happened was Purdue was lacking all those things needed to make a run. Whereas FDU had that athleticism, the length, all that stuff you need to make a run. Athleticism, good guard play, length, you name it. Purdue, so Matt Painter went into the transfer portal this year and went and got Lance Jones from Southern Illinois. A lot of people were questioning this move, okay, Matt Painter's not going to get a higher ranked transfer portal recruit. He's going to go for this guy on the Southern. Well, so far, based on what I've seen from Lance Jones this year, Matt Painter knew what he was looking for. Because Lance Jones brings a whole new element to Purdue. The Boilermakers, compared to this year's Boilermakers, compared to last year's Boilermakers, they play a much faster style of basketball. They drive at you. And they're not just getting the ball inside to Zach Edey. They got other guys that can help score when need be. And Lance Jones, so far, is proving to be one of these guys. He's got a great shot as well to go with that athleticism, that energy level that he plays. He plays with a lot of energy. For those of you who have not seen, Purdue does the Darude Sandstorm dance before the student section at Purdue, they do that Sandstorm dance before the second half of every game. And so you look at it, you watch Lance Jones, you see him doing the same thing. It's like he's choreographing the whole dance. He does that too before the second half. But he's bringing that energy and keeping his focus before every second half. And the guy, he led the team in score. Now, Purdue had a game last night versus Michigan, and he led the team in scoring versus Michigan. So, Purdue right now, they're playing at a much faster pace. They have more ways to score than just Zach Edey. So whether or not they make that run in March this year, it all comes down to not just Zach Edey, but Lance Jones. He's doing a lot of great things for Purdue so far this basketball season. And when he goes, so does this team. Much like Zach Edey as well. Lance Jones has been a critical addition to the Boilermakers. And he fits in very well with the system and with the culture of Purdue in general. But with the strengths that he has, the athleticism, the length, the ability to play defense, pickpocket and get turnovers, and to score, whether it's in transition or shooting threes, he has been a missing piece for Purdue. Purdue's been looking for a guard that can do these things. And Braden Smith has taken strides forward. And pairing Braden Smith up with Lance Jones helps this Purdue team out a lot. So I've been impressed with Lance Jones, and he has played very, very well. He's become a fan. He's a favorite of mine, of course. I love what I've seen from him. Plays with a lot of energy and heart and passion. So to close this out, if Purdue's gonna make the deep run this year in the NCAA tournament, they're gonna win NCAA tournament games, and a lot of them. They need Lance Jones, and if Lance Jones plays like he's been if Lance Jones plays in March like he's been playing it for most of this season, then I think Purdue will be a very dangerous team in March. But we'll see. Gotta maintain it and gotta play well in February too. February, March, those will be the critical months for Purdue. But I've been very impressed with Lance Jones, and he brings a lot to this Purdue team that was missing on last year's Purdue team. So, hope he keeps it up. Hope it, again, not getting my hopes up high. I know Purdue's tournament history, but I do also have a good feeling with the addition of Lance Jones on this team through the transfer portal, and with what he brings to the table, I think Purdue will have a better chance at success this March than they did last March, because they got more of that speed, athleticism that needed to make that deep run, and in the form of the guard the guard who wears number 55, Lance Jones. Sorry about the sputters there. All right, so we'll see what more Lance does for the Boilermakers this season, but I'm very, very impressed with him and very, very happy he's a Purdue Boilermaker. All right, next subject. So, divisional round. So before we go and make predictions on the NFL championship, or the NFC and AFC championships, I'll look back on the divisional round and give you guys some of my thoughts. First of all, I just want to say this. The future looks bright for Houston, and for the city of Houston, the Houston Texans. The future looks very, very bright for C.J. Stroud. I wasn't sure how he was going to perform. I was a doubter, because, Ohio State quarterbacks typically don't do well in the NFL, but he may just be the one. C.J. Stroud is looking like the one that's going to break that curse. In fact, C.J. Stroud is, admittedly, what I was hoping Justin Fields would be for the Bears. Not that Justin still can't be good, but C.J. Stroud, right off the bat, he was delivering for the Texans. And who would have thought missing out on the number one pick would be the best thing that happened for the Houston Texans? But here they are. They got the right coaching. They got their quarterback. And they played well at first in that first half against Baltimore. They were holding their own. And it's just eventually in the second half, the Ravens were just too much for the Texans. But future looks good for the Houston Texans. Just got to add more pieces, pretty much. Get C.J. Stroud and the new coach what they need to succeed. Baltimore, of course, still looking like the best team in the NFL right now. But kudos to Houston on a successful season. And it'll be interesting to see what more they do. So, not much thought. Then, of course, there was Green Bay at San Francisco. Man, that was a wet game. No doubt about that, word speaking. And I tell you what, Green Bay exposed San Francisco. I'm concerned about the Niners, especially going into the NFC Championship game. Now, granted, there was a lot of rainwater, and, it's not easy. It's not easy to play when the conditions are damp and all that stuff, but Green Bay, they really sliced and diced San Francisco's defense. Jordan Love was slinging it. And they probably should have beaten the San Francisco 49ers, but, hey, at the end of the day, you got to execute, and on a couple of plays, Green Bay did not execute, and that ended up making the difference. And the 49ers, at the end of the game, they stuck with their game plan. And they played well enough to make a comeback and pretty much secure their spot in the NFC Championship game. Could have easily been Green Bay, but, hey, you got to make those plays. And you had the Green Bay's field goal kicker missed a crucial kick, which could have at the very least that would have sent the game into overtime, because San Francisco's touchdown would have tied the game up rather than taken the lead. But if that guy makes the kick for Green Bay, then that game goes into overtime. But it wasn't just that, and then Jordan Love with that back-breaking interception to lose the game for Green Bay. Now Jordan Love, I'm eating crow. The future's bright for that guy, and there'll be better days ahead for him. Just rookie mistake in that game. And 49ers defense, I mean, they didn't play perfect, but they recovered. And the same with the offense. That they kept their focus and stuck with it. And that's why they're in the NFC Championship game. And when it mattered, they made plays. More so than Green Bay did. All right, and then as far as the other games, Detroit and Tampa, I will say this. This game the Detroit-Tampa game could have been different if Tampa had taken advantage of their first possession in the second half. Like, the game was tied up going into the halftime, and Tampa had a chance to seize the momentum and the initiative. But they didn't go down and score. It looked like they were going to, but they went. But at one point, the drive stalled. And when that drive stalled on their first possession in the second half, Tampa lost the opportunity to win the game. Detroit retook the momentum back, seized the initiative back, and never let it go. And hey, no surprise that the Lions are in the NFC Championship game. That's a great, great team. And I bet all you Detroit fans were all smiles, and I bet that atmosphere at Ford Field must have been something. I heard it set a record for decibels, like 134, I think. That's ear-piercing. Maybe not as ear-piercing as a fighter jet or an F-22, for better words, but damn, that's loud. So, but the Lions, hey, they deserve to be in the NFC Championship game. And it's no surprise to me that they took care of business against the Bucs. Just pointing out a moment pretty much when the Bucs could have taken control, but they didn't, because they didn't score on that first drive. And finally, oh man, Buffalo, you poor Bills fans. No, seriously, I feel bad for Bills fans. They finally get the Chiefs where they want them in Buffalo in a playoff game at last. And Buffalo's now this has been the weird thing. Buffalo's had Kansas City's number in the regular season, and Kansas City has had Buffalo's number in the postseason. But finally, Buffalo gets Kansas City in Buffalo in a playoff game, right where you want them. And well, let's just say that opportunity went wide right. That's right. 32 years later, after the infamous wide right kick, which sent the Bills to a Super Bowl 25 loss and into pretty much hell, you could say that, or snake bitten hell. History repeats itself again. Buffalo's got a chance to tie up the game and maybe force overtime. Kick goes wide right, and I feel bad for the Buffalo Bills kicker. Just like Scott Norwood, he had a kick go wide right, but it's not his fault they lost that game. Defense couldn't stop Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, and there were a couple times that Josh Allen just missed on Stephon Diggs, and a couple balls that probably should have been caught in that game for the Buffalo Bills. So, and that's why you end up with more misery on your hand. I feel so bad for these Bills fans. Passionate fan base. They finally got a good team, and they just still cannot get over the hump and get past the Chiefs in the postseason. It's tough. And once again, 32 years after Super Bowl 25, wide right repeats itself and comes back to haunt the Bills yet again. Damn, that's pain, and that is hell. Man, oh man. All right, enough thoughts about the divisional round. It's now time. It's time to get down to business. Let's make some predictions for the NFC and AFC Championship game. All right. I'll reveal to you in a bit who I think is going to the Super Bowl, but here's my analysis. Starting with the AFC Championship game. All right, Kansas City and Baltimore. So the Chiefs, once again, here we are again. They're in the AFC Championship game. They are starting to look like the new New England Patriots. Right now, whereas Andy Reid looks like the new Bill Belichick, and Patrick Mahomes is the new Tom Brady. Here we are. They're back in the AFC Championship yet again, and every season Mahomes has been in the NFL. He has been in the AFC Championship game. That's incredible. And I didn't think it was going to happen this year because they were missing a lot of things. Like, they didn't really have a good wide receiving core, but never doubt the Chiefs. As long as they got Mahomes and Travis Kelce, never doubt them. Lesson I still need to learn, admittedly. Goodness. But I tell you what, they are in for a real challenge because this is the first AFC Championship in which they will be on the road. And they'll be at a tough environment in Baltimore. And that Baltimore defense, I mean, The offense is high-powered, high-octane, but that defense for Baltimore is ferocious. They are good. Like, this Baltimore team is balanced on both sides of the ball. And you got a good coach in John Harbaugh. Lamar playing good football. Defense at its best. It's going to be tough for this Chiefs team to overcome this Baltimore team. Now, focusing on the NFC Championship between the 49ers and the Detroit Lions. Tell you what, some path Detroit's been on. When I look at every team they've played in the playoffs and beaten. You got the LA Rams, who had their former quarterback in Jared Goff. You got the Buccaneers, who, by the way, were the first team to go an entire NFL season without winning. So they went 0-14 in their first season. And then, of course, many years later, the Lions went 0-60. So we had a battle between two teams that had a season where they didn't win a single game. And now we got the NFC Championship. And now they're playing the 49ers, who, by the way, got their first Super Bowl win in the old Pontiac Silverdome in Michigan. That was the former home of the Detroit Lions before Ford Field. So, okay, maybe a strange set of coincidences, but interesting path for the line. But anyway, focusing on, in terms of analysis, I tell you what, I think this is a game where whoever starts the fastest, whoever strikes first, whoever starts the fastest strikes first, is going to win this game. Because these are two teams that are very good about maintaining control of the pace of the game. Both the 49ers and the Detroit Lions. And I think whoever starts the fastest is going to win this game. Both of these two teams are evenly matched in almost every position. I mean, San Francisco, you got the talented running back in Christian McCaffrey. Whereas Detroit, all right, I know Jahmyr Gibbs is a rookie, but he is really proving his worth. And he's been playing some great football. So it's a good matchup to want. Then you got wide receivers. Now, question for the 49ers. Will Deebo Samuel be good to go? That's a big question. Because if he is, that gives, I think, the Niners an edge in the wide receiver game. And you got Brandon Ayuk as well. And then you got the tight end, George Kittle. Detroit, they got good receivers. They got Amon-Ra St. Brown. And now, I won't say they have a great number two, or maybe not as good of a number two as Detroit does, but they got two guys who can fill that number two slot equally. You got Jameson Williams and another guy. They got quite a few wide receivers that are very, very good on that Detroit side. I'm not saying they have a firm. All I'm saying is they don't have like a number two established yet, but they got guys good enough that they can split the number two slot in the wide receiver. And then you got Sam Laporta, who has had a great rookie season in terms of playing tight end in the NFL. So both these teams, when you look at it, they're actually evenly matched. So that's why I think, to me, it comes down to who starts the fastest, who scores first, because that's who's going to win this game, because that's who's going to control and dictate the terms and the pace of this game. And both teams are good at this. Now, with all that being said, all right. So, in terms of the AFC Championship, I've got my concerns. Like, Mahomes is playing good football, Kelsey's reliable, but can they keep pace with this strong Ravens team? I'm not sure they can this time. I'm just not sure. It's going to be tough going on the road. And then, in terms of the NFC Championship game, there's pros and cons on both sides. For the Lions, it's, this is their first playoff game on the road. Can they bring that energy on the road? And can that offensive line hold up against... Now, that's a great offensive line. Both teams have fantastic offensive lines. Can that offensive line hold up against the 49ers defense? And then, for the 49ers, I've got... Now, I know they played the last game in the rain. And the next one, the conditions shouldn't be as difficult. But, was that a rare bad game that the Niners have? Or is there some concerns about the way the 49ers look? Like, are they going to be ready to play? Is Brock Purdy... Can Brock Purdy face this Lions team? Or can he face the pressure that this Lions defense is going to bring? Because that Lions defense has been playing really well, as has the Niners defense. So, will Brock Purdy be ready for what the Lions are going to throw at him? Did Green Bay, or Baltimore, give Detroit the blueprint on how to beat this 49ers team? That's what I wonder. A lot of different... And of course, can the Lions continue to take care of business and keep focus and not make mistakes? You know, they've been playing great postseason football thus far. So, a lot of pros and cons, a lot of questions too on both sides of the football. You know, a lot of things you can debate. All right, here we go. At long last, here's my prediction. Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas, Ravens versus Lions. That is my prediction. I think the Ravens are just going to be a little too much for the Chiefs. And honestly, watching between what I have seen between San Francisco and Detroit, I think it's the Lions' time. I think it's their turn to finally get a monkey off their back and get, because there are 4 teams in the NFL that have never been to the Super Bowl, and the Lions are the only team from the NFC that has never been to the Super Bowl. But between the 4, and I am going with what I have seen thus far, between the 49ers and the Detroit Lions, I trust the Lions more. I think they're going to be ready to play, and I think they're going to be the faster team. They're going to score. I wouldn't be surprised to see them score first and maintain control. Because the Lions, I look at the way they have played, and they've been a smooth operator so far. No matter how close the game gets, it's felt like the games have never felt in doubt because that defense has been playing well enough, and the offense doesn't make a lot of mistakes. And Goff's been to the Super Bowl before. He knows what he's got that experience. Now, Brock Purdy's a good quarterback too, but with what I saw in that game against Green Bay, I got concerns about whether or not he'll be mentally prepared, because he had some passes in that Green Bay game that should have been intercepted. And that Niners defense got exposed quite a bit. Even if you don't count the times that defenders for the 49ers were falling down, Green Bay was finding plenty of holes. And it would not surprise me, Dan Campbell, being the smart coach that he is, he'll grab that tape up and he'll show his guys that tape. So, all right. Now, of course, I also... All right, so for now... So, all right. This being said, I just want to say one final note. Yes, I do want to see the 49ers go to the Super Bowl. That's what my heart's thinking, because I got an uncle in my family who's a big 49ers fan. He's a Notre Dame fan. He loves Joe Montana. I like the 49ers as well. I like Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle. But if the Lions do go to the Super Bowl, I'll be happy for you Detroit fans as well. And no animosity, I will be all smiles. And I will say, congrats Detroit, you deserve it. Because, being a Bears fan, I've suffered a lot too, but I've seen my team go to the Super Bowl, and I felt that excitement, that thrill of being in the Super Bowl, and that is something that I hope you Detroit Lions fans get to experience, and hopefully in 2024. So, with all that now being said, my prediction is that Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas, Ravens and Lions. All right. Oh, you probably want scores, don't you? Okay. And hey, I also will expect to take flack if the Lions do not go to the Super Bowl. I will not be surprised if you folks give me flack as well for it, and I'll have deserved it. But with that being said, the Ravens score a little tricky. I'll go 24-21 in favor of the Ravens, and in the Lions game, I am going to go with the score 34-31. No score on me or whatever the hell it's called. All right, that's my predictions for the NFC champion, or both the AFC championship and the NFC championship. Ravens and Lions in the Super Bowl in Las Vegas. All right, on to this day in sports history. Speaking of talking about the 49ers and the Lions, on this day, the 24th of January in the year 1982, Super Bowl 16, Joe Montana wins an MVP award and leads the San Francisco 49ers to their first Super Bowl victory against the Cincinnati Bengals. Final score was 26-21. And to think, that was before Joe Montana was Joe Montana. Like, that's where his legend began with the game against Dallas, which we know as the catch. But in that Super Bowl, he would start that That's where he would truly start that legend, when he would guide the 49ers to a Super Bowl championship against the Cincinnati Bengals. And it was a much closer game than people realized, like 26-21. It was closer than the score indicated. It's just the Bengals that day made too many mistakes to win in order to win the game. And the Niners, while they weren't perfect, they minimized their mistakes and took advantage of their opportunities. All right, sports fans, that is all I got for this week's Wax on Wednesday. Enjoy the football. Jake Waxman from Two Guys Talk Sports signing off. Thanks for watching this week's Wax on Wednesday.